Hello, hello.
What's up, Billy? How we doing, man?
Hey, what's going on? Oh, the COVID beard. I love it.
Yes, got one. I've been getting crushed every time.
I like it. I like it. Both of you guys, man.
Yeah, man. I haven't gotten a haircut. I haven't shaved since. So we'll see how long this shit goes on for. I don't know.
Well, it's good. It is playoff time.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Just making our own playoff beards. How are you guys doing? Your family safe and good and everything?
Yeah. Everything's, I'm concerned about people who aren't able to continue making a living in the next 6 weeks. So, all of these people out there twerking at the beach, whatever the fuck they're doing, I hope nothing happens to them. And, people can get back to work. I don't know. Somebody just sent me something that they found like 24 cases of this new strand of it that actually affects children. I'm just like, what the fuck?
It's gotten the overload of it has gotten like, this is like a coward's way out with it, but like it's gotten so much where I'm like, just tell me when I'm allowed what to do. Like
I did that. I did that the first day. I haven't watched the news the whole time. I have no fucking idea. I was late to the whole, you got to get vitamin D. That shit's all gone.
Well, honestly, I feel like everybody'd be better off because now apparently all of a sudden everyone's a fucking scientist, an economist, a brilliant doctor. I mean, everybody apparently can talk on these topics
because
way above our pay grade.
They're sick of being home. And I feel like they're just saying or seeking out information that tells them
what they want.
That what they want to hear so they can go back to work and shit. And, and then you got, what's his face there just saying crazy shit and then saying he was being sarcastic, which in a way was almost worse.
Right.
Oh, you were just fucking around.
Sarcastic, asshole.
What a great time to be sarcastic. I'm gonna do it so well nobody knows I'm fucking around. It's just like,
sure, that makes sense.
I'm trying so hard to root for that guy. I'm trying so hard to stick up for him because it is not 100% his fault. It's a world issue right now, and the amount of people out there who are just doing whatever the F they want to continue this thing going, it's not 100% him. But when you say to inject household cleaners
into your body
and then be like, just fucking with you, got you, I'm just like, oh boy.
And the thing is so crazy. There aren't people who just like, there are people who just listen to things.
I know.
People just go out and do that. And I think like I saw like an ER doctor in like New York or something like tweeted like, today we had someone come in who had been drinking bleach, and they were like, the president said it's like why would you like? It's almost hard to blame him there.
That's how hard. Like if you think sports fans are loyal and can't see the cheap shot artists on their own team, when you get into politics,
right?
Because sports is just sports. At the end of the day, your team chokes or whatever. Another city gives you shit, it sucks or whatever. But this is literally messing with people's belief systems and the afterlife, their ability to make a living and all that. So this is going to get crazy. So I'm just trying to be like,
I feel like it's still going to get worse before it gets better. I feel like we're in like the middle of it. People think we're coming to the end of it. But anyway.
They just keep saying they're going to open up cities the way like, when your flight's delayed. That's just going to be another 20 minutes. It's going to be another 20 minutes. They just keep going.
I don't know what to do. Like New York is for sure going to be the last place open. Am I just going to stay here until it's open? Or you just start leaving? I don't know.
But the good thing is we picked a business where you can actually do this stuff and still have a few advertisers and,
for real.
I was saying that to my cousin the other day. He came over and I was like, he's like, how's things going? We were like playing basketball, socially distant. And I was like, I'm very lucky. Like, I'll be honest, I'm a little sick of it. I wish I could go out, but like, I'm good. There are plenty of people who can't work, can't get food. I'm getting like food delivered, all that stuff. Like it's fine, but it is like, it's getting to the point where at first I was like, just stay home. And now I'm like, I get just wanting to be outside even a little bit.
Well, here's the thing. Like the more densely populated it is, the more hardcore you have to be. Like I got a buddy of mine lives out in like Tennessee, and he goes, it's not like the way it is like in New York or even like in LA where everybody's just sort of really slammed in together. Where if someone does something stupid, like, out here, a bunch of kids had a party like I would if I was their age. and there was some kid out there coughing like, oh, imagine if I had it, and then he did,
Yeah.
and then he started like he or she started a mini breakout out there. So even that one, I don't get mad at the kids. It's the parents where somewhere along the line between my parents and whatever goes on now, these people stop being afraid of their parents, and now they're sort of buddies with them. Like
So
they
I
hang
was gonna
out.
ask you that. Like if you were, I don't know, 16, 17, whatever years old, would you be like sneaking out and partying, or were you too afraid of your old man to do any of that shit?
Both. I would probably get out at least once or twice a month. I would, because all my friends would have been doing it, and then they'd be like, "Oh, what the fuck, man? Like, you're in like the Brady Bunch house," and that would have been enough to be like, "No, I'm not," and I would have done it. So I guess I feel for their parents too, because like how like the level of communication that exists between kids now is like the CIA had that when I was a kid. Where they could be like, "Yeah, I'm upstairs, see? Yeah." Like you can just anywhere you're walking around, you have this device that can video and all this shit. So you got a bunch of J. Edgar Hoovers walking around who are like 15 years old. I mean, I can't imagine the dumb shit I would have done if you gave me that sort of stuff, you know?
Being a teenager now, I don't even know how they do it. The amount of shit that can go online and the video, it's all fucking crazy, man. But last night, both John and I got an advanced copy of King of Staten Island.
Oh, okay.
It's fucking awesome.
Oh, thank God.
And I'm really not just saying that. Like, really enjoyed it. It's a bomb squad cast. And I know that, you know, you did Breaking Bad and Mandalorian and you have acting experience, but this was a fucking hell of a performance, Bill. I mean, you did some heartfelt acting.
If you weren't one, first of all, Kevin and I, like, we get a lot of, you know, screeners, obviously, because we have guests on. And like, we don't know.
You're in the mix. I think you're trying to say you're in the mix.
We have some guests here and there, no big deal. But we never like watch it at the same time and text throughout the whole thing. And we were both like, hey, you know what, we're popping it on right now. So the whole time we're like, this is fucking unbelievable. And at one point I said, if you weren't one of the greatest comedians ever, I would start thinking of you as an actor who does comedy because you were so good in this. How's that?
Nice.
Praise, Billy Boy.
There you go. It was the mustache, man. The mustache
It's a great mustache.
took over for you. I think it is because a lot of people think it's fake. So I was like, all right, that's cool.
I was going to ask you, it's not fake?
No, it's real.
I had a feeling that was real. You can grow a good one. I had a feeling that was the real deal. Did you think about keeping it?
No, it was driving me nuts because Club Soda Kenny, my tour manager, I was saying, all right, dude, how? Because he's, you know, former cop. He goes, you got to grow it where the hair covers the top lip, and that was just like, you know, yeah. I tried to keep food simple. So you want a little hollandaise sauce? Nah, I'm all set on that. Just give me have the eggs scrambled hard. I'll have dry toast because it was just like it was driving me nuts. Like it was. If I wasn't eating, it wasn't bad. Like if I had hat and sunglasses on with that mustache, I was just I was looking like I was a completely different dude.
Right.
And I was kind of looking in the mirror like, who the fuck is this guy? This is kind of look. My wife hated it.
Oh, sure.
That's unbelievable that it was real because I almost didn't ask if it was real because I didn't want you to call me an idiot. I didn't.
Oh, you know what's funny is there's another movie I did, and they had me use a fake one, and I was going like, you know, I can grow one. They're like, no, it's cool. And, you know, because there's also like when they put it together, the cinematographer, there's a certain look that they're looking at. So sometimes a fake one actually looks better. I don't know how it works, but having a fake mustache, when they glue that shit on, that stuff that they put underneath you got to have like a mini fan blowing the fumes away, and you just hold your breath and they put it on you. And then the whole time you're doing it, it's like it's constantly it's coming up here and someone's got to do it again, and just it's like, look, this is nothing compared to those people that like underneath the things with the straws up their nose, but like just a fake mustache was enough for me to be like, yeah, I don't need to be doing any close encounter type shit.
What else have you done, if anything, that really compared to like this role? Is this like the deepest you've ever gone with acting? I know, like I said, you know, I'm familiar with some of your work, but are there other roles where you're doing, you know, fatherhood and love and kids and all that shit?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, no, this is the first time a character of mine ever had like a romantic sort of storyline, and I was having a panic attack. Like I was saying to my wife, I should have said no to this. I can't fucking do this. I'm just, I can play an asshole, and I was really in my head, and I had to kind of do the whole, dude, just like chill out. All right. Like on-screen kiss. I never did that before.
I was going to say, I mean, making out with Marissa Tomei is no fucking joke.
Hey, no fucking joke. Yeah, no, I was nervous about all of that, but I just was like, all right, Bill, have you ever kissed a woman before? Yes. Okay, do that. Why are you acting like you're like 14 again?
I mean, it is different in front of a camera, though. I can kiss a girl.
In front of a camera. Dude, when we did the kiss in front of the house, like the way they shot it, like the neighbors, just regular people were sitting on their stoop watching the whole process. Yeah. As we're going like, is this like a kiss? Is this just a quick goodbye? Blah, blah, blah. Like, thank God I got to do it like with such an experienced like actor. Like she knew the ins and outs of the whole thing. And I tell you, dude, she like, I worked with some amazing people. Like she might be the best I ever worked with. She was unbelievable. And there was so much stuff that she was doing that I didn't even notice because, you get your lines in your head, like trying to not look at the camera and stuff. So when I actually watched it, there was all this subtle stuff that she was doing. I mean, you saw her play Edith Bunker right before it too, which I finally watched because everybody told me how hard she crushed it. And I was already nervous about working with somebody who had won an Oscar. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to watch that because I'm already in my head enough. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the stuff screaming at Pete, that was easy because
when you start like, you're like, you're fucking kidding. And I'm like, all right, it's Bill. He's doing it. And then it was like, it took a turn. It was a whole new guy. It was crazy.
Yeah. That was, I think that was all like the way Judd and Pete put it together. Mm. That it was kind of cool that I don't want to give away too much, but the first time people see me is like the first impression of Pete and his family or whatever. So it was really cool how they edited it that way. And yeah, there's so many, and not to mention, there's so many amazing people in the thing that I got to. I never worked with Dom Lombardozzi before, who was on The Wire, Boardwalk Empire. My favorite, I can't say this stuff because I don't want to ruin it. Steve Buscemi.
Mm-hmm. Everybody, even like they had Machine Gun Kelly, Action Bronson, like just like little roles.
Action Bronson was hilarious.
Yeah.
Action Bronson he just came through a wall, Bill.
Huh?
Action Bronson once threatened me to throw me through a wall. Our interview did not go well.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I had a good time. I would like to see that.
Bill, I had a good time too. I was
Silver just sat there like, all right, go ahead and do it. I was like,
I turtled. I was like, Kevin, you're on your own on this one, bud.
Yeah. Well, I would not want him to get his hands on me. That guy, that's a strong dude.
I
love his show too. You ever watch that show? Fuck, That's Delicious.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. I mean, those guys are like. It's funny to look at them. You'd think that they were eating it like White Castle.
No, they're like,
you look at him like, oh, that's all gourmet food. That's legit.
How was Pete? I mean, Pete's had a crazy rise and public life and all that shit. I thought you guys had like an unbelievable rapport. Did you know him beforehand through comedy or anything, or was that the first experience you had?
Yeah, I met, believe it or not, I met Pete. I was doing, Jim Norton put together this tour, which I swear to God, this was a show. It was unbelievable. It was called the Antisocial Network Tour, and it was Jim Norton, Dave Attell, Jim Brewer, and myself.
Wow.
So I used to watch all three of those because I'm a huge fan of all of those guys. And like, when I first came to New York, Jim Brewer and Dave Attell, they were like gods. And like I remember there was a couple guys like Pete Corielli used to go on the road with Brewer, and I remember thinking like, wow, man, he knows those guys. It was an amazing thing. So just to be on it was incredible. So anyway, so we did the tour, and I was down in Atlantic City, and of course the day of that, the fucking Patriots played the Jets and lost at home that game.
Good. Fucking good.
Then all these guys in the front row had Jets jerseys on, man. I got trashed during that show. So I'm coming out the next day out of the lobby, out of the hotel lobby there, whatever casino where you're at. And I was like ducking out, trying to make sure I don't get trashed by Jet fans. And this woman came up to me with this tall, skinny kid. And she's just going like, "We thought you were so funny last night. This is my son. He wants to be a comedian." And he was just kind of standing there, right? And I never forgot him. He just, I guess, would you like?
He's 9 feet tall, right?
Well, he also has like that. He has that it thing that they say in the business. He just has it, and I remembered it. And I was like, "Yeah." She said she already had driven him to his first open mic. So I was like, I said, "Hey man, you're doing it right." I didn't start till I was like 23, almost 24. It's a young man's game, He asked me a couple questions. I think he was really like sort of awkward and shy or whatever. And then years later when I met him, he goes, "I don't know if you remember this." And he started telling the story. I go, "Outside the elevator, that tall, skinny kid, that's you." He's like, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we always kind of had that cool thing. And as he, rose up so fast, I think I got to know him, I got to really know him after he got on like SNL and stuff. And like he started selling tickets and stuff. And I was in New York or something, and he was asking me questions, because promoters try to steal from you and all of that,
The ins and outs of the business.
Yeah, that's it. So we kind of got to know each other that way. He did a Patrice O'Neill. He did one of the benefits for that. And I just, he just was always like, and I remember when I watched him doing stand-up, his poise and what he was talking about really impressed me. And I was like, all right, this guy, it's all if they stick with it, if they have the work ethic, you don't get sidetracked, and all. Like, this guy is going to be, he's going to be a force.
We were talking about earlier with like the nerves of, Marissa Tomei, first kiss and all that, having to do that on top of having to like act someone's real life or semi-real life. Like that must have been really weird to have to do that. I remember in the movie Honey Boy, Lucas Hodges says with like Shia LaBeouf, he was like kind of asking for permission to like go to certain levels. Was there ever any of that with you? Where you're like, I don't know if I should say this because it's like, his real life.
Yeah, there was a couple jokes talking about Pete's character's dad, the one who died in the hotel fire, not his real dad.
Right.
So there's a couple jokes where I was kind of like, I don't know if my character could say that, and Marissa's character would still like me. And then most of it was the firehouse stuff. And that was the stuff where it was like, we went, one day we all met all the people that worked with Pete's dad, and we went down to the firehouse where he was at, and they had all the 9/11 stuff up on the wall, and they had pictures of his dad and all that. And then I was just like, oh my God, what have I got myself into?
That's no joke.
I have to do this justice.
Yeah.
So there was like, the cool thing about firemen is they bust balls the way comedians do. Yeah. So there was a couple, there's a number of, aside from Steve Buscemi, who actually was a firefighter before he became an actor, there was a number of people on the show, Mario, John Sorrentino, just really that actually, John actually knew Pete's dad, was in the firehouse at some period when his dad was over there. I can't quite remember, but like he was a guy those were the guys I was always going over to, was like, does that sound right? Does that sound like real? They're like, great. Or like, do it more like this, or don't put the mask on like that. Don't go like this. Yeah, you're a boss, so you sit there and you do all this, the whole firehouse etiquette. And I would just sit there listening. You know what I mean? I mean, it was definitely more than just growing the big stupid mustache. I just would have looked like me with a mustache. So
definitely looked the part, like, in the scenes where you're in action and shit, and you got the gear on and everything. It was like, as far as I know,
that was the hottest fucking day I knew it was going to be of the summer.
Yeah.
It was just like the way they lined it up. It was the last week of July. We're going to shoot the fire in the Bronx. I'm like, all right. So I remember the day before wasn't that hot. And we were driving up to block the scene. You know what I mean? So we all knew what we were going to do. So the next day when we put on all of that shit, but I have to say they went out of their way with like the mobile air conditioners and all that type of shit. I can't imagine like, and what's so funny, it was a Hollywood fire. So you do a couple of takes and be like, oh, give me the I don't know how these guys really do it because that equipment is so fucking heavy. It's ridiculous. So me and Dom drove up. I remember smoking a cigar in his car on the way up, just laughing, talking about how great our lives were. And we're actually getting paid on the clock driving. But we'd shot something in the morning out in Staten Island. And then we were heading up to the Bronx where we were going to shoot the fire scene. And we had a great time. I mean, all those people that I worked with, Hank, Giselle, all of those guys that played the firefighters, it was great. We just, after a while, it was kind of became like we were just all busting chops anyway. Giselle was another one who was a actual firefighter. So it just became like this amalgam of firefighters and actors all, and, you know, stand-up comics all just giving each other shit. So we would just be giving each other shit before the camera rolled, during, and then after. Jimmy Tatro was unreal. I'm trying to remember everybody's name. I should have had all this stuff in front of me, but it was awesome, dude. It was really, it was a lot of fun.
And so now it's going on demand because of quarantine and coronavirus and all that shit?
Yeah, because you can't, two things. One, you can't go to the movie theater. And then that Trolls movie, that kid Trolls movie, like destroyed.
Right.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's going to be, a big hit in quarantine.
Yeah. So then I think people were going like, oh, all right. So if there's a bunch of parents with quarantine kids, there's a bunch of people like you guys sitting there. I'm losing my fucking mind. I can't watch Trolls. Can you give me something? So that's what we're hoping for. I think it's gonna. I think I got a good feeling about this one.
Yeah, I got a great feeling. I was worried about like how much ball washing I was gonna do when we got on this podcast because I loved the movie so much. It was
well, you don't have to do that. I literally all I did was stand on. It's acting. You stand on a piece of tape and you say what somebody else wrote. So.
Oh, okay. It's stand-up comedy. You just stand on stage and make jokes. You can do that with anything, Bill.
Yeah, but with stand-up comedy, it's just like the crowd can like attack you and you get humiliated and you're up there by yourself. No one could say like, okay, cut. All right, now in this one, try it this way.
Right. But when was the last time you bombed, Bill?
Huh?
When was the last time you bombed? Has it been a long time?
Oh, no.
Really?
No, it was recent.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I bet it's a different kind of bombing. It's because I know how to do it. I can handle it.
Yeah.
It's like getting down by 20 and you don't panic. Like, right. All right, halftime.
3-3, we're fine.
Game of runs. Yeah. I can get them back. Let's see. I did, right before the pandemic, I was popping into like bars that were doing stand-up just because I just had a bunch of stuff I wanted to try out. And the Comedy Store is just jam-packed every night. And there was somebody up in the belly room, because I usually go up to the belly room to try stuff out. And I was just like, hey, let me get out of this area. And I went, and it was, I don't know, it was just a very, it was almost like a radio audience. Like, we appeal to white males, 18 to 34. Yeah. This was like, I don't know what the deal was, but I just got a lot of oohs and it wasn't like I was bombing, but probably maybe last summer. I was trying out this bit about this lesbian who bumped into me on purpose. And I did the bit and I got like halfway through it. And I didn't realize it was sort of the gay show. I should have known because it was all these penises with the balls, all like these little paper. I don't know why.
You probably should have noticed, yeah.
I don't know why, because on the straight show, there's not like vaginas with a dick going into it. I don't understand. And especially when you have all these extreme people on the right saying they're ungodly and all this type of shit, you're kind of steering into it that when, okay, it's gay night, and then there's a bunch of dicks on the stage. But whatever. Wasn't my party. I crashed it. So I went up on stage and I did the bit. And it was my first night telling it. And I got about 3/4 of the way through it, and these two women yelled out in unison. So I think they planned it. They said, lesbians aren't trying to be men, or lesbians aren't men, or something. And I know I got into it with them. It escalated to a fuck you. And, you know, it was classic stand-up comedy security. They kicked the person out just a half an inch past the door. Don't lock the door. And then they're like, well, that's that. So I got off stage and I was like, where are they? They're like, oh, they're gone. I'm like, they're gone? He goes, yeah. I'm like, all right. So I put the hoodie up, start walking through the restaurant, anticipating the second I get outside, they're going to be there, right? I didn't even get outside. They were at the bar. Hey, fuck you, fuck all that stuff, right? And I gave it right back to him. I looked like I was arguing a call with two female umpires. So then I walked down the street, and it took me about 3 days before I kind of came down from it. And I was thinking, like, all right, do I want to be doing that? Not like I was like mad for 3 days, but every time I think of it, I'd be like, you know, I'd be whispering to myself, and maybe if you let me finish the fucking joke, saying all the shit I wanted to say, right? Yeah. I just started thinking, like, all right, is that the reaction that you want from that joke? No.
Right. Not worth it, right?
Do you still want to tell a story? Yes. Then you need to tell a story that this story, the way a lesbian's going to hear it and not think that is going to hear it the way that I'm saying it and don't think that I'm like some Trump supporter, blah, 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 blah. And it ended up being a great bomb because, like, within 6 weeks of that, I remember being in LA and I did the same joke. And this lesbian came up to me afterwards and she goes, I felt like you were talking about my life. And I was just like, because that's what I was going for. What it ended up becoming, it's a long story. I ended up meeting somebody on the film who was gay, and I was bitching about my wife one day, and she started bitching about her girlfriend, and it was the exact same conversation. I was like, holy shit. And then that became the in.
Right.
That became the in on the joke.
Right.
And then it became, rather than, this straight guy saying this shit about this lesbian, we all became people dating women.
Right.
And the whole thing came together. So, yeah. So that's the thing, too, why, during this whole time when, people will film like a little clip and then be like, oh, he said that and that means this and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, like jokes are just constantly like a work in progress. Or even like, I'm reading this book right now called The Code. Did you guys ever read that? It's a hockey book.
No, I don't think so.
This guy, I think it's Ross Bernstein, Joe Bartnick. I don't know if you guys had him on yet. Joe Bartnick from the Puck Off podcast, he gave it to me, and I finally got around to reading it. And they were talking about that Todd Bertuzzi hit. Right. And I remember when they showed it, and I was like, oh, man, oh, God, that's terrible and everything. And this book gets into all the soap opera that leads up to the moment and talks about how ESPN, all these people don't watch hockey, just watch the moment and go, it's a barbaric sport, blah, 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 blah. So it's really fascinating. It's a really fascinating book because I love the fights in hockey. But the more I read the book, I still find it fascinating that they haven't figured out a way to police the game without having the players police it. And I think that's part of not being a professional hockey player, because I'm just like, well, why don't you just punish people that do shit like that to a fucking level that they won't do it? But it's like, this is the best book I've ever read. It's called The Code, Ross Bernstein, as far as breaking down. I mean, I've watched hockey for 40 years. I didn't know a lot of this shit. Yeah. As far as how that whole thing works. All the fights from like switch the momentum to the 6 games ago soap opera stuff. Right. It's really, really fascinating.
How you holding up?
I got a book recommendation for you, Bill. It's Ice Time. It's a true story of the I think it's 99-2000 Methuen High School hockey team. It's awesome. Nice. It's like the writer gets embedded with the team and follows them through the Massachusetts high school state playoff games. It's fucking really, really sick. It's called Ice Time: A Tale of Fathers, Sons, and Hometown Heroes. It's a great hockey book.
I remember I used to go. I used to watch my high school team, and we made it deep into the finals one time. And then we played a private school that just, they had the #1 draft picks from every friggin' town. Mm-hmm. It was stupid. It was kind of foreshadowing like Golden State or Miami or even the Celtics Big Three. or some of those Kobe, Shaq, Phil Jackson teams where you're just like, is this really competition at this point? It's just everybody just jumps on one team.
Did you watch any of the Jordan doc?
Oh yeah, yeah. And what I love about it is what a lot of documentarians and press people are criticizing, saying that, well, Jordan had final edit and blah, blah, blah and all that. It's like, well, finally, after like almost 40 years of you guys telling his story.
That's a great
like,
point.
I was blown away by two things. First of all, when his dad got murdered, I didn't know it was two 18-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Random shit. I didn't know that because I was watching the shit on the news and listening to all the scuttlebutt that, this is, is gambling debts and blah, blah, blah. And even a buddy of mine going like, dude, I was a degenerate gambler. He goes, it doesn't escalate.
Murder people.
Right. To that level.
Right.
I have a friend who's a bookie right now and had like someone skate town on him for like $100,000. And I was like, so what do you do? He's like, what do you think I do? Like nothing.
Like,
I just don't get $100,000. Now there probably are better bookies than him, but he's like, nothing. That kid just lives in Chicago now. Like, I'm never getting my money.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. He's going to do that again in Chicago unless he gets help. And eventually he's going to get the ass kicking he deserves. But the thing about it was the money. Like, I love that he cleared that up and how he really called the press out on their bullshit. And then what else I was blown away by was what an incredible teammate he was and how coachable he seemed to be and how, when he fought Steve Kerr, Phil Jackson could still kick him out of practice. Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy was making like $100 million selling sneakers and shit. And he's like, Michael, you're out of here. And then he's like, I felt bad. I felt like this big. I beat up the smallest guy in the team. And
yeah, he said going into it, you're all going to hate me and you're going to learn I was a tyrant. And it was like, all right, there was the Steve Kerr story. He shit all over Scott Burrell. And apparently he was mean to Will Perdue. Like that really seemed like it. I mean, maybe there was more they didn't talk about, but it was like, if that's all you're talking about, Michael, I think you're okay.
And his first coach, I heard he ran his first coach out of town, and I found out he loved the guy.
Right.
So it's just like, I really think, though, there's a thing where, for like athletes, like in acting, right? If you're the guy, like some of the stuff, the shit that Pete got was, I was joking with him. I was like, Pete, you can't be on SNL, be starring in a movie and banging all these models and famous people and not have people just hate you just because they want your life.
Right.
So I think with Jordan and guys like that, these sports writers, they seem, I mean, the guy was like the coolest dude ever. I mean, he's before game one in the finals going like, hey, were you a little tense today? Nah, he goes, I drank a couple of beers, had a cigar, and played the piano. I'm just sitting there going like, so the dude who guarded you that night is smelling your breath like you were just at a cookout, you reek of a cigar, and you're dropping 39 on him? I mean, how fucking demoralizing that must have been. Yep. I already loved Michael Jordan. I already thought that he was the greatest of all time, and no one even came close, I felt. And having watched that documentary, to now see what kind of a teammate he was, how loose he was, and, the whole time, sitting there with that cigar and that little thing of scotch or whatever he had, and you knew at some point that was going to get lit up and all. I was just like, it made me, that's the thing, it made me miss doing stand-up, being back on stage, because I was like, while this is fresh in my mind, how contagious his drive was. Because I know a couple of people going like, yeah, that guy's like crazy, right? And I was like, no.
That's me. I don't want to do that, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, nobody's that guy, but
but you either have that, you either see that as like inspirational and you should be that way, or you see it as like, oh, that's weird. Like he's like on a whole other level. But I think it's admirable. I think everybody should be more like that,
Yeah, it's why 99% of us don't have abs. We all want abs.
Right.
We can all do the work for 2-3 days and then we just fall off. Guys like him
never stop.
They just keep going, and it's just like, it becomes a work ethic thing, and it becomes part of your DNA. The more and more you do it, it's weird. You can actually train yourself to achieve. It's nuts.
I think they say it takes 30 days to form a habit, I've been working out a little bit during quarantine. A good amount, actually. I'm gonna give myself some credit. I worked out a good amount.
So it might take you 60 days.
I bet it's been 3 months, right? If I stop working out after this, I'm gonna be pissed, and I won't blame myself, but I'm gonna be pissed at whoever told me it took 30 days for a habit.
Yeah, you always hear it takes 6 weeks. There's all different kinds of numbers, but I found I wasted a lot of years of my career just being gloomy and morose and not understanding that I had the gifts. I just had to develop them. I was a decent writer, and I could, and now I've just been able to, once I got it going and saw a little bit of daylight, I just kept doing it.
Right.
And I always try to tell people, like, because once you're there, it's like, well, shit, you just, you're you. It's like, I wasn't, though.
Right.
I think more so
really bad
than in any other profession. I think comedians get that the most, where it's like, oh, this guy's selling out arenas. He's like, it's great. It's like, well, I sucked for 30 years, and people don't think about that. We're not sucked, but I was grinding through it.
No, it's true. No, it's true. But there's also like, I used to not know how to write a script.
Mm-hmm.
I always knew I was good at writing dialogue, and I just had this massive, like, I was scatterbrained. Crazy scatterbrained. So what I learned was I need to partner up with people who are going to be more doing that, and then I'll just show up, and then I'll be in it, and then other things I've learned to delegate and all of that stuff, and all of that stuff are all of those things are learnable skills. I mean, you can look at Michael Jordan all day long. And you can be like, oh, so you just run down the court and at the foul line you leap into the air. I mean, you can't make yourself do that, but like, you can get a lot out of watching that, taking what he did and applying it to whatever you want to achieve. I mean, even it's going to lead somewhere good is what I got out of it, which is why I plan on watching. I'm going to take a few weeks off of that documentary, and I'm going to go back again and just, like, that's going to be one of those ones I just keep going back and watching because, and I also thought too that there was my buddy said, he goes, watching Jordan when he couldn't get past the Pistons and when he started working out, bulking up, he goes, I found in that moment, he goes, that is my disconnect with today's athlete, because if Michael played today,
he would have joined the Pistons.
He would have joined the Pistons.
Right.
Exactly. And 3 other guys would have joined, and they all would have walked around. And then once they won it, they would have started smoking Red Auerbach championships. Mm. Back then, it was like you wanted to beat those guys and you hated those guys.
But it's also hilarious that, like, Michael Jordan was like, I should probably start working out.
Yeah, I know. Like Mike, what if you were doing that your whole fucking career? You would have been a total freak.
He was, but he wasn't bulking up. They said in the beginning how strong he was.
Right.
And explosive his game was. He was doing that, but he wanted to put some brawn on to handle what it was that those guys were doing. I loved when Isaiah threw the Celtics under the bus. I also enjoyed that immensely.
But that also wasn't true. They were kicked out. The Palace security made the Celtics leave.
Well, 2 things is funny about that. He didn't bring up the fact that publicly he said that if Larry wasn't white, he'd just be another player. He did say that he had already done that. Yep. Massive disrespect. And then he said, back then we didn't shake hands. That's not what we did. And it's like, okay, first of all, Jordan shook your hand both times, and you had no problem then. And then when they went to the clip of the Celtics, Kevin McHale's walking off the court, and Isaiah runs over to him to shake his hand. So it's like, it kind of seems like you shake hands if you win.
Right.
It seems like,
but if you lose, you walk off the court. I got to give a shout out to Bill Laimbeer though, because they said to Bill Laimbeer, they go, "Do you regret not shaking hands with the Bulls?" He's like, "No, fuck those guys."
I know. He's the only guy who stuck to it. I saw an interview and he was just like, I don't give a fuck about this. And I was like, all right, let's go, Bill.
Yeah, and I hate Bill Laimbeer as a Celtics fan. I can't stand that guy. Yeah. And when I watched the 30 for 30 and he was going like, yeah, we tried to play a mind game with people. Like he was out there playing chess. It was like, dude, you just waited for people to leave their feet and you tried to end their careers.
That's the mind game. I'm gonna.
That's not a mind game. That's just you were a fucking goon. But I will say this though, that motherfucker at the top of the key was money.
Yeah,
and back then, for a guy 6'10", 6'11" to have that shot, dude, I'm talking nothing but net.
Yeah.
And I used to just
that whole team, like they were. Everybody talks about the Lakers, the Celtics, and then Jordan into the Lakers again. But it's like there was a little dynasty right there with Isaiah and Bill and like a lot of good players.
Were a great team. They were John Sally, Joe Dumars, Vinnie Johnson.
I love John Sally being like, I'm going to shake these guys' hands. This is a bad idea. I don't know about you guys, but like, I'm not going to fuck around with this. And it was like, oh, that was smart.
Who did that?
John Sally.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he was like, this is.
John Sally was another guy. Like that was a great team. And I liked what's his face? Mohorn I even liked. Lambeer was dirty to me. Mohorn was he was more like an Oakley type of guy.
Right.
But like in the end of the day though, all these years later, it's like I hated him then, but like I love all of those guys now.
Well, especially like you said, compared to today's basketball, it's like even if they were your rival, that's the game. That's the way you want to watch the game,
Well, I feel like the kids today, I could say that, going to be 52 next month. They're missing out.
Yeah.
In a way, on the satisfaction of like finally beating that team. I mean, but the game has also changed tremendously. So who am I to say? This is just me. Me as a fan would have loved to have seen Durant stay in Oklahoma after they blew a 3-1 lead, sit in the devastation of that in the offseason, lift some weights like Jordan, and then come back and then see this epic rematch.
Right.
Would have they got him the next year? Would it have taken 3 years? As opposed to him joining Golden State? And I always joke, like, him joining Golden State was like a bad, like, Hollywood summertime movie. You can guess the ending before it even happens. It's like, well, this is Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock on a bus. They're not going to die. They're going to figure it out, right?
Right.
Not that the Bills. Not that was a bad movie. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? The hero's not going to die. It was just like, before it even started, you're like, oh, the Warriors are going to win the championship. And then they did. It was just like, yeah, it was very, I don't know. I kind of believe that you play sports you watch sports for competition.
But the Bulls, they were a super team. It wasn't formed.
I hate when people say that. They were a super team through draft picks and shrewd trades. That's different than like the top 5 guys all sitting on a yacht going, hey, let's all go to this team.
No, I agree with that, but it's just like there are 3 Hall of Famers on the team. It is
Hall of Famers on every fucking championship team.
It is different. I agree. You're right. It's a super team.
I hear people go, well, I mean, Dennis Rodman. They had one guy. Here's my thing. You get me a fucking superstar point guard right now who's going to win 6 championships with Luke Longley or Bill Cartwright. Back in the day when it was a big man's game, when you used to have to, when the big man on the other team could just stand in the paint, and they used to say back in the day you had to go into the trees. If you wanted to dunk, you had to be ferocious. Where you watch it now, neither guy, offense or defense, is allowed to be in the paint for more than half a second. Right. And because of Instagram too, I feel like when a guy comes in for a dunk, the guy on defense is thinking like,
I don't want to be on a poster. Yeah.
I don't want to be on a poster. I don't want to be this on Instagram getting fucking dunked on. And this guy's going to put his nuts in my face and fucking do a bunch of extra shit because he also knows it's going to be on Instagram.
Yeah.
I actually think that the NBA kind of has sold their soul to the super team, and it's become like wrestling where now I'm watching. It's like when Hulk Hogan would become the bad guy. So I'm just rooting against his band of brothers. And,
the NBA definitely did that with the wrestling when they started having sponsorships, and it's smart. Don't get me wrong; you make money everywhere you can. But when they started having their like red carpet walks sponsored, that like when you walk into like Lakers Arena, it's sponsored by like the Go sneaker company, I forget, or StockX or something like that. So like guys are dressing up to show up their outfits every single game for. Like it's the Oscars.
I mean, it's a build. That's like it's a business they're trying to build, and they're trying to get more people or whatever. That's what happened with football. If you look at the halftime show at the Super Bowl 40 years ago, it was like a local college band. It was played in the afternoon, and you by looking at the halftime shows, you can see where the NFL felt they had reached the saturation point with sports fans, and then they started going after the casual fan. And then all of a sudden, they had like REM and U2 and Prince and all of these guys playing the halftime shows, and there was, all of this extra stuff. That's the only thing I feel like the NFL really got wrong, because I still love the sport. And I get now with the CTE, they got to penalize a lot of stuff. The thing that I felt that they got wrong is the Super Bowl became such a spectacle that it's the most important game of the year. And I feel like if you play in that game, half the battle is your opponent and the other half is trying to keep your adrenaline going during the 20-minute commercial breaks in the 50-minute fucking halftime show is what it seems like.
Have you ever been to one?
Yeah, I went to the Patriots versus the Packers when Brett Favre took his helmet off and ran in the Superdome, and then I went the first year we went with my brother and my dad. That was the greatest thing ever. We had upper deck beside where Vinatieri made the kick, and our whole section tackled each other. I remember being worried about my dad. And then we couldn't believe it. Then I was like, every time the Patriots go, I'm gonna go. But then the next time they played, I think they played the Panthers, and I was doing the next Monday early in the morning. I had to do the World Series of Dice for Chappelle's show, so I couldn't go. So I was really like, it was one of those things. I was psyched to do Chappelle's show, but I was like, fuck, man, I want to go. Some of my family went, and but I do remember when the game was over, and I still had $2,000 in my pocket, and I didn't have to go to the airport. And I started thinking about it, like, okay, I went when they lost, and I felt that feeling, and then I went and saw their first championship, and I experienced it with my dad and my brother. It's not going to get better than that. So someday when I get married and have kids, if I can steer them into being Patriot fans out here in LA, I'll take them then,
Right.
And who knows now with Tom Brady leaving, we'll see,
What
who
are
knows
your
when.
Thoughts? What are your thoughts, Bill, on Tom Brady, the Buccaneer?
I think it's a great move for him in the end, because it's just like he deferred a ton of money throughout the years. He was really beyond a team guy. And I think it was cool that the Patriots were like, all right, go out and see what you can get. And he showed what he could get. And I understand the business of it, where when a guy plays as long as Tom plays, at some point, it's like the team wants him to retire as a Patriot, but like Tom is like no one's ever done what he's doing, like playing at the level that he's playing.
There's no blueprint for him.
Yeah, and I think that it was just one of those things where he was, who knows what, a season or two left. I don't think he can go through a rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to get paid, go to a state where they don't have state tax. He did the Jordan thing for us, literally. We were a joke. We weren't a joke because we had Parcells, but before Parcells, we were a total joke. But he helped make us legit. He won 6. He had 2 3-peats, basically, 2 dynasty things.
I said he gave us a seat at the table where it was like, my friends like growing up were like Yankee fans and stuff. And it would just always be like, shut up, Red Sox suck. Patriots really weren't even in the conversation. Like, there was no one good.
Oh, yeah.
Sports.
I would have thought the Red Sox would win a World Series before we won a Super Bowl. We used to play in like that it looked like a high school football stadium in Texas, that dump of a stadium. And we were a joke. And we bottomed out. We had moments. We had great teams in like the mid-'70s. Got fucked on that roughing the passer call in 76 against the Raiders. And we had got crushed by the Bears in 85. But we had some good teams in there. But by 90 and 91, the Rod Rust year, we really bottomed out. Victor Kayam, the Zeke Mowat shit. It was really bad.
I have a picture with me and Victor Kayam. Victor Kayam's giving me $5,000 savings bond I won.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, here's something I've been actually digging into. I'm fascinated with NFL championships. Basically, before the Super Bowl, I'm fascinated with the fact that they don't count them. is just the weirdest thing ever to me, because every other league, even as they absorb other leagues,
Yeah,
and
they keep all
teams,
the.
they count Stanley Cups back to when it was the size of a shot glass. They count they count World Series like 1880, 1885 or something. I didn't even think they were using baseball gloves at that point. Like
Literally.
there was a year in the late 1800s where 5 guys hit over 400. It was because I always mess with Yankee fans when they talk about Babe Ruth, that he was the greatest ever. I'm like, listen, that guy could play in any era, but he played in a beer league.
Right.
Those are beer league stats, okay? The fact that you could have a guy in the shape that he was was built like Fred Flintstone, okay? He's eating hot dogs, he's banging hookers on a train, and he could show up in an MLB park on any given night and either throw you a no-hitter or hit 5 home runs. But Bo Jackson couldn't do that. Look at how he looked. So they always then they talk about the documentary about the fastball and how fast those guys were throwing. It's like, dude, the upper echelon of white guys back then could play any era. I'm not saying that. But they were going up against some guys like me who made the St. Louis
You go
Browns.
against guys who have a day job. You know, it wasn't even like their full-time gig. It was like, I got to go from the factory to the ball field. I mean,
yeah, but that was a money thing. That was a money thing because horse racing and boxing were bigger. But what I'm saying is the big stat that I sway Yankee fans on, because I always say the guy could play any era, all right? But, like, he either would have been a pitcher or he would have been a hitter.
Right.
One or the other. You wouldn't have done both.
Right.
So is the hitting 400 thing. It's like last guy to do it was Ted Williams in 1941. Okay. Before him, 26 guys have done it.
Yeah.
In 1 year, 5 guys did it in the same year. And when you watch it, it was happening like every year, multiple guys. Then all of a sudden it was happening every 2 years, then every 3, then once every 5. And then it just stopped. And if you look at after 1941, 47, Jackie Robinson breaks the color barrier. And then all of a sudden the Satchel Pages, Josh Gibson's, Pedro Martinez, they probably wouldn't even let Sandy Koufax play back then because he was Jewish. You know what I mean? It's just like there is something to say about that. But anyway, so go back to these NFL titles. Like the fact when they were talking like the greatest quarterback of all time with Tom Brady as he was playing, and they're talking Elway, they're talking Montana. The farthest back they would say was Johnny Unitas, and even then no one would bring him up. But I'm reading up on like fucking Otto Graham.
Mm-hmm.
Otto Graham, okay, he played in the All-American Football Conference from 46 to 49 with Paul Brown, all right? And the 4 years that league existed, they won the championship every single year, went undefeated 1 year, 15-0. So the NFL said it was an inferior league, and they absorbed the Colts, the 49ers, and the Browns. The Browns joined the NFL their first year. They won the NFL title. And they went to the championship game the first 6 years they were in the league, and they won 3 out of 6. And another amazing thing was Lou Groza, their tackle, was also their field goal kicker because no one took kicking seriously. He was the Vinatieri back then. He kicked the winning field goal in 1950, and he was the first guy that was deadly accurate from 40 yards or beyond and could hit a 50-yarder. And people were sitting there going, why the fuck are the Browns, this expansion team, kicking everybody's ass out here? And they started crunching numbers, and they realized the Browns had won 15% of their games because of Lou Groza. Wow. And then all of a sudden they were like, hey, man, these 3 points fucking add up.
Matter, yeah. And that was their tackle also?
Yeah, and he kicked straight on. And I used to think those guys that kick straight on could maybe kick a 25, 30-yarder. This guy could hit from 50 yards. And that was also when the goalpost was right on the goal line.
Right.
So when you got up to about the 42-yard line, you had to get 8 yards into the other team's side of the field, and all of a sudden they were a threat to score.
Right.
So in that 1950 title game, which you can watch the highlights, the Rams scored, and there was like a minute and a half left. And you can't believe how modern the offense. They were just throwing the ball, going down the field. And I saw this thing Otto Graham was talking about, going, he knew with our offense, we knew we could score. And Lou Groza, they asked him, were you nervous when you went up? He was like, no, I knew it was going through. And I was just like, this guy's Vinatieri.
Yeah.
In 1950. So the fact that they, for some reason, don't talk about that, you know, and the Buffalo Bills are the benchmark for losing the championship game 4 in a row. Go back and look up, dude, the New York Football Giants, They lost the championship game in 58, 59, 61, 62, and 63.
Yikes.
5 out of 6 years. And everybody forgets it because it happened before Super Bowl III, which is weird to me.
Yeah, very weird. I got a very big kick out of the King of Staten Island scene where you guys are yelling about the Jets. As a Jets fan myself, it was primo. Very well done. Very well done, man. So that's out on June 12th. Also, new season of F is for Family on the same day, huh? It's a big day for you.
12th season 4 comes out. Jonathan Banks joins the cast.
Awesome. How cool is that guy in real life? Because I fucking love all his work as an actor, but he seems like the man.
And he is an absolute sweetheart. Yeah. He's like he's a family man. Great advice, for like. I remember when I first met him. When I was on Breaking Bad, and I was with my girlfriend at the time, and I wanted to get married, but I was too chicken shit to do it. He gave me some sage advice that helped me. Him and Paul Verzi helped me get over the hump on that one, which ended up being the greatest thing that I ever did. But he's like,
you remember what that advice was, or echo that sentiment?
Yeah, but it was kind of a private conversation, so I'll leave it at that. But he's like he is a tough guy, and he does take no shit. But he's a big-hearted, he's a sweetheart of a guy, and he's just a fucking incredible actor. There's a couple of actors that I've worked with where, like, when they say action and then they look over you to talk, I get a jolt in my chest, like when you lean back and almost fall back, like how in it they are. You're like. When he's talking, he was Jonathan, and then all of a sudden when he became Mike, Mike's clipped some people.
Right.
It's just like, fuck. So, he joins the cast, and, we got, like, since we casted this thing, a number of the actors on this thing have gone on to win, like, Oscars. Allison Janney, we got Sam Rockwell, Laura Dern, she's always, winning. One of those. Every time I see an award, my wife watches the award shows, but every time there's that, I always see her accepting something.
Yeah.
So we got a hell of a cast, and it's Mike Price is the driving force behind it, and Dave Richardson, all the writers, all of those guys, Vince Vaughn, trying to give everybody a shout out, Peter Billingsley, Victoria Vaughn, all of those people that helped me out. There's a ton of people lifting, helping me push that rock up the hill.
Well, that's awesome. The movie's great. I know you just signed DeStefano and Giannis Pappas for all things comedy. So business is good for you, Bill. You're doing big things. Congrats.
Yeah, no, those guys. They
are. Chris is one of the funniest guys I've ever met, man.
Yeah, and Giannis is like SNL level with the characters and all that type of stuff. So I am going to enjoy watching those guys. I think that they're gonna there's just so many different ways both of them can go.
Yeah.
And their shows is really, it's a ton of fun to do. So yeah, we're very excited that they came over to All Things.
All right. Well, we appreciate it as always. Thanks for the time. Stay safe, yada yada, and let us know if you need anything. All right, man.
Yeah. You can call me anytime, dude. I'm around too. Everybody's available. All right, guys. Thank you so much for saying those nice things about the movie. All right, we'll see you.
You got it.
Thank you.